Hello Alycats and new viewers, so today is part 2 of my November 2017 favorites. If you're new to the channel and don't know what favorites are, that's where I list everything I loved in the entertainment industry over the past couple of weeks. I always split these up into 2 parts because I have way too many favorites for any one person to have, but I still manage it. So let's just get on with the favorites before I jibber jabber too much. Now first up are the movies. I actually just ended my original 365-day film challenge, but I'm attempting a year 2 of this, so if you'd like to keep up with my progress, either follow me on Letterboxd or check out my blog where I write written review roundups for the films I mention. But here are my favorites. First up is Mudbound. This is a Netflix original movie and it's directed by Dee Rees and stars Carey Mulligan, Jason Clarke, Garrett Hedlund, and Mary J. Blige. And this film is fantastic. It is a slow burning film, but there is so much character depth and the atmosphere is just so rich and it feels like you're there with the characters. And it's such an emotional movie because you're seeing these 2 different families from 2 different walks of life and how the world treats both of these families, and it's both appalling and eye-opening, and all the actors are amazing. The costume design is period specific, it's incredible. The atmosphere is claustrophobic and you feel like you're there in the sweltering heat covered in mud with the characters. You really do connect with the characters, whether they're likable or unlikable. You either love or hate the characters, and I think Dee Rees did such a fantastic job with this film. And I did think the ending was a little abrupt, but that is my only nitpick with this movie. This is a fantastic film, and I can imagine that this will garner Oscar attention, and I highly recommend you watch it. The next movie up is The Crucible, which I'd actually seen parts of this in history class in high school, but I decided to watch the whole entire thing, and I really enjoyed it. I have read the novel / play this is based off of, and I really enjoyed this movie. Some people hate it, but I thought that the performances were great. I always love accounts about the Salem witch trials, and I just was absorbed in this movie. So if you haven't seen it and you're interested in the Salem witch trials, definitely check out The Crucible because it's really good, and especially Daniel Day-Lewis, so good. The next movie up is Coco. This was so adorable. I swear I did not cry. I totally was not crying like a baby by the end of this movie. But this is the latest Disney Pixar movie, and it's about a boy named Miguel, and he wants to be a famous musician, but everyone in his family hates music. They're all shoemakers and they want him to follow in their footsteps, no pun intended. But Miguel finds out that his grandfather is the famous Ernesto de la Cruz, who is a famous musician. But one day he steals de la Cruz's guitar from a museum and finds himself in the land of the dead on Dia de los Muertos, and he has to find his grandfather so he can return to the land of the living before he is stuck in the land of the dead forever. I know that probably wasn't a good explanation, but this is such a beautiful film. It's so colorful and vibrant. It has really important messages about following your dreams, being yourself, but also about how much family means to us and how much love means and how strong the familial bond is. And it's just such a moving film. And it also has messages about death, and they're positive messages. It's not like, oh my gosh, I have to be afraid of death. No, it's really positive, and it's just such a well done movie. I highly recommend you see it if you haven't already, and you will cry, okay? You will cry, because I did. I cried like a baby, okay? I admit it, I admit it, I admit it. The next movie is Practical Magic. Now this is one of those like cheesy feel-good movies, kind of like Where the Heart Is, which is funny because this also stars Tucker Channing, who is in Where the Heart Is. But it's just so much fun. It stars Sandra Bullock, Nicole Kidman, Tucker Channing, like I said. And it's about these 2 sisters who are witches. One is a practicing witch. One settled down, got married, had kids. She doesn't want to be a witch. And it also centers around their 2 aunts that raised them who are practicing witches. And it's just a lot of fun. It shows what happens when one day they accidentally, maybe, you know, in someone's life, and they have to deal with the consequences of that. And it's just funny, and it's warm, and it just, something about it, even though it deals with some heavy topics, it's just such a lighthearted film, and I really enjoyed it, and it made me feel so much better after watching it. And it's just one of those films that it's just a good time. I highly recommend Practical Magic if you want a feel-good film about witches and you want to be entertained and have a good time. this is the movie for you. Next up is Young Frankenstein. I know most people have already seen this movie. This is my first Mel Brooks film, and I really, really love this movie. I thought Gene Wilder was great as Dr. Frankenstein, and I really enjoyed Mel Brooks' take on Frankenstein's monster. It's just a wonderful film. It's so well done, so funny. I actually laughed. It is so hard for films to make me laugh, but this is the kind of comedy I love. It's not stupid comedy. It's really smart comedy. The rest of the performances are pretty good. There's a couple of iffy ones, but I just really enjoyed this film, and I don't know why I haven't seen it sooner, but it's definitely a must-watch. Definitely a classic film for a reason, and I definitely want to watch some more Mel Brooks films. And can I say definitely any more times? Definitely. And the last film I want to mention is The Girl with All the Gifts. This is based off the novel of the same name, but I really enjoyed the fact that M.R. Carey wrote both the novel and the screenplay for the film, and he made some changes. So you're not reading a direct adaptation of the book, but it's still faithful to the book. I love Gemma Arterton as Miss Just Snow. She is just perfection. She is effervescent. I just have a huge girl crush on Gemma Arterton, okay? Glenn Close, Patty Considine were great, and Sinia Nanua, who plays Melanie, the girl in the film. This was her first acting role, and she totally knocked it out of the park. This is a fresh take on the zombie genre, and it's really hard-hitting, very well done, and I cannot wait to see what else the director of this film, Cole McCarthy, has in store for us. And the last thing I want to mention in this favorites video is a TV show, and that is The Crown. I know I'm very late to the Crown game, but it's so fascinating. I loved learning about Queen Elizabeth II when she first became queen. I love seeing her relationship with Prince Philip, who is played by the ever so dashing Matt Smith. And I just love seeing her relationship with her sister Margaret, seeing how she dealt with Winston Churchill, who is played marvelously by John Lithgow. And Claire Foy is just so fantastic as Queen Elizabeth, and I cannot wait for the second season of the show. The costume design and set pieces are sumptuous, and they feel appropriate for the era. I loved the cinematography of this entire series. All the actors are fantastic, and if you are a history buff, if you're interested in Queen Elizabeth, I don't know how much of this is actually factual, but it's really fascinating. And I'd say if you're into history, if you want to learn maybe possibly more about Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip and the rest of the family and what happened during that time period, definitely check out The Crown. And I'm so pumped for season 2 coming out really soon, because I need some more Crown in my life. So that was the second part of my November 2017 favorites. If you like this video, leave a like. Let me know down below what your favorites were in the month of November. Also, if you like this video, share it so my channel can grow, because that made me super duper happy and would be such a great Christmas gift. And if you've liked what you have seen and heard but you're not subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button along with the notification bell so you'll always be alerted whenever I upload a new video or start a new live stream. And if you'd like to follow me on social media sites, all those links are down below in the description box. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. You're always my favorite. Peace and kisses. Bye!